Yes. Hello. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you enjoy. I am Lewis Paris and I'm a personal trainer based in central London, offering one-to-one PT, small group PT classes, bespoke fitness classes and corporate wellness packages. And my sole focus is to inspire the nation. So with this video, it's roughly about 30 minutes long, but it could take you to do these exercises up to 60 minutes, okay? And it's all about active and passive mobility, all right? Aim to help encourage movement and help alleviate any back, hip, and shoulder pain. So I encourage you to practice this at least once a week, and I literally will be skimming through a whole range of movement drills. So please feel free to pause the video at any time so you can sort of take your time to sort of complete each section, okay? So there's no rush, all right? So the first thing I want you to focus on is standing up nice and tall, dropping the shoulders, depressing the scapula down, and aiming for nice big circles, okay? So you're imagining there's a pencil in your chin and you're drawing the biggest circle that you can, okay? So go in the same direction about 5 to 10 times. Once you've done the left, go to the right, and then you want to sort of go into your semicircles, okay? So sort of a half moon, tucking the chin into the chest, going up and down, and I just want you to just open up and relax the traps, okay? Now, as you can see, we're moving into a standing open book, all right? So the whole focus here is to be rooted to the ground, hips squared, okay? Dropping the shoulders down, maintaining posture, trying to activate your lats, okay? So you can be more static, and you're keeping one arm straight as you open out externally with the other. Aim to do this about 10 to 20 times. Okay, keeping the core nice and strong and just feeling the shoulders and the spine open out. Now we're going to move a bit more aggressive in our dynamic movement here. Okay, same again, feet are rooted, and as you can see, I'm doing nice big circles, big rotations as I aim to get my arm literally right behind me. Okay, so I'm trying to literally go as far as I can with the arm in a safe manner. Same again, aiming for about 10 on each side. You're going to hinge back and you're going for a nice big shoulder rotations with the elbows flexed, and you're just going to get some blood in this area, okay? So all I'm doing now is just trying to get your sort of heart pumping a little bit more, get a bit more movement, get the blood flowing. Now here is something a lot of people find difficult to do, which is your hinge movement, and I'm just doing posterior into anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, so it's all about being able to manipulate and isolate this part of the body so you can move your hips better. I'm aiming to go into a Romanian deadlift here. Okay, so my sole focus here is to open up the hamstrings. Slight bend in the knees, okay, so the knees are nice and soft. I'm driving my hips back, pushing my hips into that pocket. So imagine there's something in your back pocket, trying to push out with your glutes, and I'm reaching as far forward as I can just to extend the stretch a little bit more further, okay? So I want to feel this in my shoulders, in my glutes, in my hamstrings, as well as the spine, okay, and the lats, okay? In this position, I'm going to hold, using my core to stabilize, okay? I'm going into my swimmers, all right? So here is another name we could call these, or which we do call these, your shoulder cars, which is your controlled articular rotations, okay? And you want to aim for about 10 to 20 times before you flex at the elbows and have them behind you, and going into your spine rotations, aiming to get your elbow pointing towards the ceiling, okay? And trying to minimize too much rotation in the hips. There could be a slight degree, as you can see my legs are moving, just so you can get a bit more rotation. But you just do this enough times so you can feel the spine opening up a little bit more, all right? Aim for that for about 10 to 20 times. Now I've taken a knee and I'm here in 90 degrees. You can see how my feet is planted, my knees right underneath the hips, and I'm aiming with the knee that's to the floor. I'm working the hip flexor there, my arms staying up so I can stay in a controlled manner, and I'm going to rotate over the knee as far as I can go, or as far as the chest will allow me to, so I can really open and stretch out my hip flexors, and same again, getting more rotation in the spine. Once you've done about, let's say, 10 times, you are going to have the arm that is away from the knee, okay, or the knee, or the same arm that's the knee that's rooted to the ground, and you're going to flex over, so we can open up our psoas muscle. Okay, so that's a nice big hip flexor there that you want to stretch out, and it normally tightens up or gets weaker because we're sitting down all day, and you just want to hold this stretch for about 20 seconds ideally. Okay, all right, I'm gonna shake it off, and what I'm getting into now, if I can remember, here we go, into your hip flexor lunge. Okay, so we're moving dynamically. Stick with the same leg 10 to 20 times, driving the hip forward, okay, not to overreach or overextend, but enough to feel the stretch, staying active in the core so you stabilize, okay, slightly driving the hips forward. Again, same again, I am skimming through this because I don't want this video to be longer than half an hour, so please feel free to pause, take your time, and feel the muscles opening up and feeling a bit more looser. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going into that static lunge again, but this time we're going to hold the lunge. I'm going to aim to keep my chest open, elbows as high as the shoulders, and I'm going to rotate over the knee and hold that static position, okay, for about 20 seconds. Okay, so you just want to feel this movement here, see how the body's moving, see how the body's working. Sooner or later, with all this movement, you're going to start to sweat, which is natural, which is good. We want the body to move, and we need to be warm so we can get the extended range in our muscles. All right, so taking it a little bit slower now, we're going into cat-cows, okay? So you want to perform the tabletop hold position, okay? Knees directly underneath the hips, hands directly underneath the shoulders. And here I'm focusing on my protraction and retraction of the scapula, okay? So as I open up my chest, I'm looking to drive my shoulders down, squeeze the shoulder blades together and push my hips out. And then I want to reverse, tuck my hips in, push against the ground, and really push against the floor so I can open up my spine. Okay, so here is all about sort of working vertically so we can open up the spine. Okay, now I'm going to keep my hands, one hand rooted, flex at the elbow, one hand behind the ear, and go into table twists. Okay, so I'm aiming again to get my elbow in line with the hand that's on the floor, or if not, trying to reach as far open as I can as I open the chest, keeping my hips square, able to get my elbows to the ceiling and get more rotation into the spine. Now we're going to drive this down to our legs and focus on fire hydrants. So the key here is to push into the floor. Your shoulders are going to burn a little bit, which is fine. We're working, okay? And we're aiming here to really isolate the movement. So we're focusing on opening up the hip capsule and using our glutes to drive our knee as high as possible. Slow and controlled, okay? I'm moving a little bit too fast here, I can see, but it's still good enough for me to feel what's working. I am still in control of my movement. So you want to take time aiming to get your knee as far high as possible, ideally in line with the glutes. If you don't go as far as that, then you go as far as your body will allow you to. So you're always working within range and seeing how far your body can go, and each time you come back to that same movement, you're trying to extend it a little bit more so you can progress. Now we are moving into bird dogs. Okay, so you want to still adopt that tabletop position, as you can see, and I want to extend one arm forward and the opposite limb, my leg, out behind me, leg as straight as possible. So I started off really great and got a little bit lazy. As you can see, my knee was slightly flexed, but I want to keep my leg extended as straight as possible, as you can see now. Aiming to get my arm in line with the ear. So I'm going forward and back, and I want to aim for 10 to 20 reps. If you're getting confused with the reps, they will be in the description, so you can have an idea of how much you should be doing and at what each time. Now here is the advanced movement where you're going to come out externally and you're going to work your hip flexors a little bit more in your core, and you're going to go out and rotate as wide as possible, pause for about 1-2 seconds and bring it back with control. All right, now we're going to move to the floor. into our 90-90 stretch, and we're going to do different variations of this. Just take that mess off my knee there, easy. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go square on. My knee is in line with the hips, as you can see. Externally, I want to keep my hands behind me, trying to keep my chest forward, but my body will naturally rotate as where the knee is going. Okay, so I'm keeping my heels flat on the ground as I open or wind wipe side to side, aiming 10 to 10 reps. Once I've done that, I'm going to rotate all the way around as far as the body will allow me, my hip flexors, and open my chest and feel the stretch in the lower limbs. Okay, so take your time, feel the stretch, pause for about 5 seconds, and hold. Okay, once we've done about 5 to 10 times on each side, we are literally going to extend our arm over our head. Okay, so I'm going to flex down onto my elbows, you can see on the one that's away from me, and use my right arm, because I'm facing to my left, and reach as far down as possible, so I can really extend the stretch in my hip flexors and my rectus abdominis. Okay, just so we can just open up that side of the hips. And now I'm going to face my inside knee, have my arms just in front so you can be in line with your knee and your ankle. Keep in the posture, okay? So we want to avoid my back rounding too much, okay? So I want to keep my chest open, maintain posture. Take a nice deep breath. And as I breathe out, I'm reaching forward so my chest is coming towards the knee. Okay, so nice and slow. You're going to feel your hips open out, ideally your QL and your glutes, okay, and open up the hip capsule. So same again, once you've done either your left or your right side, you're going to switch and repeat the same process, okay? So you want to hold this extended position for about 30 seconds, coming up, facing the knee, staying squared on, chest is open, nice deep breath, and exhale as you lean forward, okay? So you want to take a nice deep breath in and exhale as you exert, all right? So you just want to open out and go as far as the body will allow you. So same again, we are moving dynamically. We are not being as static in this position. All right, this is very good for our hips, so we can move a bit more freely and sort of just release the tension in our hip flexors, especially when we sit down all day or we don't exercise this part of the body as much. Now, just to really further exaggerate and really give the hips a good stretch and sort of build that connection with our glutes as well, we're going into a shin box get up, okay? So I've still adopted the 90-90 position. As you can see, I've drawn my heel, my knee closer together, all right? And I'm looking to push my knees in towards the ground, driving my hips and chest up. Now, as I get into that extended position, I'm thrusting my hips forward, squeezing the glutes, keeping my chest open, stabilizing with the core so I'm not flopping or moving about as much, okay? So I'm driving through, pushing my hips forward, squeezing the glutes, feeling a nice big stretch in the hip flexors, and you want to aim for about 10 to 20 times on that particular movement. Okay, so now we're going to open up the hips a little bit more. Your feet should feel a bit more looser. You want to be just outside shoulder width with your feet as we go into a nice deep front squat. And now we're going to try and hold this squat, okay? So if you're finding it difficult to hold your squat, I say you can use your hands against the wall, okay? Just have it flat, or have your back against the wall if you're finding that a little bit more difficult, okay? So have your back against the wall and hold that sort of seated squat position so you can get so you're not leaning too far forward and you're not compensating on other muscles, okay? So the whole aim here is to put all your weight on your heels, feet just outside the hips, toes slightly open, okay, sitting nice and low. As you can see, my glutes are literally sinking just below my knees, okay, as I try to avoid my hips tucking in, all right? So I want to try and maintain posture here, and we want to hold for about a minute, okay, staying flat, all right? So you want to try and sit in your squat for about a minute, get nice and low, then you can sort of relax your posture just a little bit more and go into a prayer stretch as you use your elbows to push your knees out wide. All right, here you're just going to further open up the groin, Feel your hips sinking into your knees, okay? So we're just getting some blood into your joint, and you just want to relax into this prayer stretch for about a minute. After you've held this position for about a minute, we should be in total already in our squat for about a couple minutes, okay? And you want to sit further for another 3 to 4 minutes. So in total, we're going to be sitting in this low squat, which is really good for our shins, for our ankles, for our knees. As you can see, I'm getting warm here. And we just want to stay nice and mobile. Okay, so this is a really good way to sort of open up our hips so we can move a bit more freely. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to grab my ankle now. And I'm going to get a thoracic rotation, okay? So I'm grabbing my left ankle and I'm using, with my right arm, and I'm using my left arm to reach up towards the ceiling, pausing for about 1 to 2 seconds, opening and closing the chest, just so we can get degree of flexion in this bottom position. Okay, nice big rotations. Feel the stretch, take your time, aiming for about 10 on each side. And here I'm about to show off and do a little frog stand. Feel free to give it a go if you like, just be careful not to bump your head. All right, easy. Now we're gonna open up, we're still working within the hip region, so we're gonna work the adductors now. I'm just shaking off my hips because they can feel a bit awkward after that position, sitting in there for so long. Now what you wanna do, here's more advanced, okay? So for me, I slightly open out my knee that's towards the ground. I slightly open out outside the hips because I am quite mobile, but not as mobile as, let's say, a ballerina. I want to extend one leg out with my foot open towards the wall or the mirror, which I've got across from me, and I want to keep that leg as straight as possible. Now I want to avoid rounding the back. As you can see, I'm keeping my chest open. All right, just going to switch over here so you can see from this angle. Extend my leg, keeping my chest open, and we're going to rock back and forth nice and slow, aiming for about 10 on each side. Okay, so you want to feel your adductors stretch, taking your time, okay? If you feel this is too much, or if you don't feel it, bring your knee back in so it's underneath the hips, and that leg that is straight, you want to plant your foot onto the ground, pushing into the floor, activate your adductors, and slowly move forward and back. Same again, okay? So take your time. There is no rush with this. I don't want anyone to get injured, and you just want to feel your adductors stretch. Once we've done 10 on each side, you're literally going to pretty much adopt the child pose position, but with a wider stance with the knees. We're going to do a variation here. We're going to do 2. You're going to stay with your heels to the ceiling, feet or toes planted into the floor, arms still ahead of you, maintaining posture, avoiding your back rounding. Okay, just going to show you from this angle. And you're going to drive your hips forward and back, okay? So you're going to feel the stretch in your groin. Again, forward and back, aiming for about 10 times. Keeping the chest open, avoiding you sort of rounding your back too much. Now we're going to go into your frog stretch, and you're going to open out, as you can see, open out the inside of your feet so it's flat on the floor. Then we're going to go to our elbows, and we're literally going to push back and hold up to 60 seconds, okay? So you just want to relax in this movement, further the stretch, and just feel your groin adductors open out, just to help release any sort of tension in the hips. And we just want to sit and relax in this position for about 60 seconds. Okay. All right, so we're going to move a bit more dynamically. We're going to use what we've got. I'm just having a quick water break because it's thirsty work. Now, what you want to do, you want to go into a nice wide stance because we're going into lateral lunges, okay? So nice wide stance, feet almost parallel towards each other, okay? You can slightly open up your toes. All right, I'm just squaring myself off so you can see me properly, okay? Chest is open. I'm literally going out to my side, okay? As you can see, foot is planted to the ground. I want to keep my heel to the floor. Chest is open, driving my hips out, driving my knees outside the body. Now, if you have got tight hips, naturally your knee is going to tuck in. We want to aim and stabilize with the quads, okay? And use our glutes to help push us back up, okay? So we want to feel the stretch. Once you've done 10 to 20 on each side, as many as you feel, we're going into what I like to call my ninja pose, okay? So we can further stretch out our adductors and our hamstrings, okay? So here's all about just using your hands for support, As you can see, I'm going to plant or land onto my toes. My heels are off the ground. My opposite leg with the toe up towards the ceiling. Okay, I'm slightly reaching forward so I can just further my stretch. All right, so I'm just sinking into my knees. If you've got knee problems, use your hands for support or totally miss out this movement for the duration, okay, and sort of forward it onto the next exercise. Okay, so here we're getting a bit advanced. We're moving dynamically, staying on my toes and on my heel. I'm just trying to further open out my hamstrings. Okay, so each time I go to each leg, I'm aiming to push my chest and my head closer towards the knee. All right, almost going into a split, so to speak. And bear in mind, I'm over 6 foot, lanky but supple, they say. Okay, so we're going to aim for about 10 on each side. And then we're going to keep our legs as wide as possible, try and push them out as wide as possible, and you're going to reach as far forward into your wide leg stand stretch. Okay, so I'm just reaching forward. Same again, we're still working on the groin area, opening up the hips. I'm sinking into the center now. All right, and then I'm going to reach right behind me. Each sort of movement, forward, center, and back, you want to hold for 30 seconds, staying controlled and relaxing into that stretch. All right, so now we're going to do a bit of core activation, and here is where I want you to understand 2 movements, and I want you to pause and cycle through this at least twice, aiming for 3 times, okay? So your first one is your Superman hold, all right? So you're going to lie flat on your chest, arms nice and straight, legs nice and straight. You're going to aim to keep your feet together, feet and hands off the ground. As you can see, I'm pointing towards my feet and my hands and my glutes. What I'm aiming to do, I'm aiming to push my hips in towards the ground. So I'm squeezing my glutes, taking some pressure off the lower back, and I'm reaching as far forward as possible, aiming to push in front of me and push behind me with my legs as I keep my hands and my feet about 2 to 3 inches off the floor, squeezing my glutes. Okay, we're going to hold that Superman hold for about 60 seconds. Once you've held for 60 seconds, you're going into your shoulder cars. Okay, now if you feel tired from holding the Superman hold, you can have your feet on the ground, but you want to elevate your chest, keeping your arms as straight as possible. I'm going to flex at the elbows, as you can see, rotate my hands to the ceiling, okay, and aim to bring my hands up towards my neck and repeat. So you want to do about 15 reps of that. Now we are going into your lion scorpion. Okay, so we can further stretch out your shoulders, spine, and chest. All right, so I'm going to adopt a T with my body. Okay, and I'm going to use my leg to kick over. The hand that I can see, I'm going to draw towards me. Okay, and it's going to help me to push my chest open. So the whole goal here is to open my chest as much as possible. Take your time with this because you can technically dislocate your shoulders with this movement. All right, take your time and feel the stretch. All right, once you've done about 3 to 5 on each side, you're literally just going to elevate your arms up ever so slightly. So you're going to make a small Y and do the same stretch again. Here you're going to feel the stretch a little bit more. Okay, so same again, take your time, go as far as the body will allow you, and just hold that stretch for about 10 to 20 seconds. It's a nice big stretch here. It's almost a game changer with this one. It's good to really open up your shoulders and get a further degree of movement here. So once we've done that, we are going to open out, have our palm facing the ceiling with our arm nice and straight. With the opposite hand, I'm going to draw it across, up and nice and close next to my ear, and I'm literally going to close the book. All right, so I'm closing my chest against the ground, keeping my opposite arm nice and straight, and just relax in this movement. And you literally just want to relax, think about life. If you're going to fall asleep, sneak in a cheeky nap and hold this stretch for about 30 seconds, okay? Once you've done that, you're going to flex at the knees, have them in line with your hips, and as you can see, I'm opening and closing the book. Okay, so I'm aiming to keep my knees as flat as possible towards the ground and opening as wide as possible, as wide as the body will allow me, so we can focus more on that thoracic rotation, open up the spine as well. Okay, so you're aiming for about 10 reps, and then we're going into your side lying shoulder internal rotation, aka your sleeper stretch. So here you're going to flex 90 degrees at the elbow, using your opposite hand to push your hand towards the ground, as you can see. Take your time, okay? Your hand does not have to reach the floor. It just depends on how mobile you are, and you want to throw all your weight onto that arm that is closest to the floor so it doesn't move, okay? So you're just taking your time with that rotation. So if you missed all that, I'm literally going to go through that again. So you can see I'm doing it on the opposite side now, going into my lying crossbody shoulder stretch. We want to hold for 30 seconds, aiming to get your chest as flat as possible towards the ground and just lying in here. Once you've done that, you're going into your open book exercise, your T-spine windmill stretch, knees flexed in line with the hips, opening and closing the chest, as you can see, taking your time, aiming to do about 10 reps. And once you've done that, the hand that is closest towards the floor, you're going to flex to a 90-degree angle, and you're going to relax into your shoulder, and you're going to push just below the wrist and feel that internal rotation in the rotator cuff and the shoulders, pushing and holding down for about 2 to 3 seconds and repeat. So you want to do that overall 10 to 20 reps. Okay, take your time. This is a very good stretch just to help loosen up the shoulders. And then we are going to move on to your knee tuck. All right, so you're going to lie on your back. You're going to tuck your knees into your chest. You're going to hold by your knees, and you're just going to rock side to side. If you haven't got a foam roller, this is a good way to just help loosen out different parts of the spine. Okay, working your way down towards the lumbar, just open out. If you feel any cracking noises, it's fine, but it's also a good way, if you've raised your heart rate, to just slow your heart rate down. You just rock side to side. Okay, so you can rock side to side 5 to 10 times, or spend about 30 to 60 seconds there. When you're ready, extend one leg with the opposite leg bent. You're going to draw it across the body into your hip drop stretch, okay? And you're going to use your hand to push your knee down and keeping your shoulders on the floor, and you're going to hold that position for about 10 to 20 seconds and just feel the stretch in your glutes, hips, and spine, of course, okay? So we're just going into your knee tuck rocks. All right, forward and back, using your core to come up, tapping from the heel and the toes, driving back down and rocking through, okay? Aim for about 5 to 10 times. Once you've done that, you're going into your seated twist, flexing at the knee, driving your opposite arm or pushing your elbow into your knee, so you're driving it away or into the body, and just holding that sort of twist for about 10 to 20 seconds, okay? Shake it off. And then we're going to go into your butterfly stretch. So into your seated butterfly stretch, hands behind you, opening up the chest. So you can sort of do a double whammy here. So you can open up the chest and stretch the chest here, pec minor and major, pushing your chest open and aiming to put your heels together as you push your knees out wide. In the position, you're aiming to push your knees down to the ground, and you're pushing and holding down for about 30 to 60 seconds, feeling the stretch in your groin. Okay, so moving into your child pose, we want to relax here, getting as low as possible, sinking down into your hips. The goal here, what I want you to do, is to reach forward with your arms as far forward as possible and aim to feel your lats open out, okay? So we want to feel your torso open out as well as your hips, sinking through, and just relax here for about 30 to 60 seconds. Once you've done that, keep your head nice and low, all right? And just walk out to your left, for example, and feel the stretch in the right side of your body. So you're going to open up your obliques and your lats once more. Once you've held that for about 15 to 30 seconds, switch to the other side and aim to stretch out as far out as possible. Okay. Take your time, come back into center, and you're going into a downward dog position. All right. Driving your hips up towards the ceiling, legs nice and straight. Here, I'm just pushing my heels down to the ground one at a time so I can feel my calves open out. Okay, taking my time, pushing my chest right through, literally pushing my head through that window so I can still get a degree of a stretch within my shoulders and my spine as well. Pushing against the ground. Now, once you've done alternating legs, you're aiming to push both heels down and you're going to hold for a further 60 seconds. Feel the stretch in your calves, coming back down. And here's me sort of figuring out, what have I've forgotten something. Let me have a think. Let me loosen out and let me have a think. Okay, and here we're going into your recline pigeon. So your figure of 4. So you want to lie on your back, and you want to, let's see if I can get this right now. You want to lie on your back, elevate, and cross your leg over your knee. You can have, see how my leg is straight? You can have that bent, or you can have it straight like mine. Threading your hand through that gap and pushing your hips off the ground, okay? So you want to sort of sit in this position for about 30 to 60 seconds. Open up your hips and your glutes and your inner thighs. So anyone who finds the pigeon stretch difficult, which we're literally about to get into now, you can just focus on that stretch there. Going back into your downward dog, so your 3-legged downward dog into a high scorpion, opening up the hips for about 10 to 20 seconds, and then feeding your leg through nice and bent so your knee is flexed in line with the chest. And you're aiming to drive your hips down towards the ground as you keep your chest open and hold this high pigeon for about 30 seconds, okay? And then you're going to lean forward, chest over the knee, leaning forward into your low pigeon and holding that stretch for a further 30 seconds, okay? So same again into your 3-legged downward dog, holding that stretch for about 10 to 20 seconds, and then feeding or threading that knee through into the center, extending the back leg back, opening up the chest, dropping the hips down, feeling the stretch in your glutes, maintaining posture, avoiding the back rounding too much, holding that high pigeon for about 30 seconds. And then when you're ready, extend your arms forward, dropping your chest down towards the knee. All right. I'm going to show you from 2 angles here. So after you've done your low pigeon, or if you've just stayed in your recline pigeon, you're going into a high plank, okay? And you're going to hold that high plank literally for about 5 seconds. Keeping your hips nice and square, your legs as straight as possible. You're going to use your hands to walk out towards your feet, okay? So you're driving your hips up nice and tall, keeping your legs as straight as possible as you feel your hamstring stretch. And then you're literally just going to hang into a ragdoll pose, okay? Avoid too much flexion in the knees, feel your hamstring stretch, and you're just going to rock side to side 10 times on each side. And then you're going to flex at the elbows. Same again, rock 10 times on each side. Feel the stretch. Feel the rotation. Feel the spine moving. See how the body's working after we feel a bit looser. And then you're going to elevate, making your head the last thing to come up. Or extend your arms up above your head. Pull in from one arm, pushing your hip out to the side. Feeling your obliques and your torso stretch out once you've done both sides. Hands behind you, pushing your hips forward, and then take a nice deep breath, opening up the chest, bring your arms behind you, and holding onto your calves and holding your head in for a further 30 to 60 seconds. And you want to feel your hamstring stretch as I do a little boogie. All right, so we're done here. As you can see in the background, you would have seen some dynamic bands from Fit and the power strap bands, and they can be used anywhere. Look out for any videos that you'll see on YouTube or my Instagram page on how to incorporate workouts inside, outside, anywhere in the world you can do at home to stay nice and active and work any part of your body. As you can see in this video, I'm using the dynamic bands here and just doing a multitude of sort of functional exercises that you can do anywhere and everywhere, okay? So if you are interested in some Fit equipment, feel free to holler me. You can get 25% off and reap the rewards here, okay? So thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed and you feel more active and more mobile. Take care and stay blessed.